Have you ever wondered what the future of music could look like when the creativity of a human mind merges with the cutting edge power of AI? If that is the case, today's episode will be interesting for you. So, today we have a truly special guest explore this fascinating frontier, Mr. Marcus Bellringer Bell. Marcus is not just a renowned music producer and songwriter, but a visionary technologist and entrepreneur who has shaped the global music landscape. With over a billion music streams to his name and the collaborations with artists like Nicki Minaj, Snoop Dogg, and major brands like Sony Music, HBO, and Netflix, Marcus has consistently pushed the boundaries of what's possible in music. But he didn't stop there. He went on to create the world's first AI music superstar, Ravyn Lyte, using innovative technology to inspire and uplift. Get ready for a very insightful conversation as we dive deep into Marcus's journey from his early beginnings as a musical prodigy to leading the charge in AI driven creativity. We'll also discover how he combines artistry and technology to redefine the future of music, entrepreneurship, and social impact. As always, you'll find more interesting information at the end of the podcast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this insightful conversation with Marcus Bellringer Bell, where we go and we welcome the transformative discussion about creating the future and the world's first AI music superstar. All right, welcome back to our Extra AI podcast series on AI and machine learning applications in different domains. And today I have an interesting topic about creating the future with Marcus Bell or Marcus Bellringer Bell and the world's first AI music superstar, or that's how I would term. Welcome on board, Marcus.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here and be engaged in a conversation with you about creativity and AI.
Beautiful, Marcus. So excited to kick the things off. Marcus, I know you have had an incredible journey from a music prodigy to a pioneer in AI driven music. Can you share what actually inspired you to explore the fusion of this AI and music?
Well, just a little bit of background. I've been in the music industry since I was 2 years old. Basically, I started playing piano when I was two, and my parents discovered that I had unique abilities in music. And so having a child prodigy background, I learned a few things early on
Mhm.
as I was developing my capacities,
Right.
and kind of like machine learning, or when you're training a LLM, or you're aiming to create a chat bot that is more, how you go through these phases of experimentation. And my breakthrough in music happened when I was 9 years old, and I had been playing classical music, and then I started studying jazz music.
Mhm.
And with jazz music, there is more freedom, right? And so I was training under this jazz musician named Rogers Brown, and he showed me the rules, right? Here are the chords, and then here are the scales, and then you can create whatever it is that you want from that. And to me, that is kind of a first principle in business, in learning a skill. Like, first you get what the rules are, and then you're able to innovate or create or be creative inside of whatever the constraints are, of whether it's that system, whether it's that industry. And so that was one of my first lessons in business and one of my first lessons in being a technologist was actually this concept of learning the rules and then being able to create and generate some nice jazz, some blues, something with some soul from those elements inside of that creativity.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have one more question before we take a break and come back to a real conversation. I know you created Ravyn Lyte, the first AI music superstar. What was the actual driving force behind this groundbreaking project? In a few words, if you could say.
Yeah, it started when I was doing 100 songs in 100 days. I was doing a 100 song challenge last year. And midstream that challenge, I lost my voice. And when I lost my voice, I said, okay, I'm not gonna quit. I am a all in doer. I don't quit. and and so I said, okay, how can I not quit the vocal aspect? And I discovered a way to train my speaking voice.
Mhm.
And around that time is when 11 Labs and uh, Play and a bunch of these other models for being able to capture your voice
Mhm.
and train a model on your voice. Around that time, that was starting to emerge, and so I found some of those programs, and I had some old recordings, and I trained a model of my voice, and then created basically 10 songs while I was recovering
Mhm.
of meditation music with my AI voice. And then I created a music bed around that.
Mhm.
And that took me down the rabbit hole. And I don't like to necessarily call it a rabbit hole. It's more like Alice or Alex in Wonderland
Right.
because all of a sudden it was opening up other possibilities. So I later trained my singing voice, started looking at how to transform my male voice into a female voice,
Mhm.
and then looking at other applications of it. Oh, actually, I could create social media posts with this. Oh, I could do audiobooks with this. Oh, I could use this voice and license this voice for other people's projects, right? So all of a sudden, just by that uh, curiosity,
Right.
right, opened up and expanded possibilities for other applications. So the way Ravyn Lyte emerged was I was already in the generative AI space in terms of image creation. As soon as Midjourney came out, I have a friend of mine that contributed to some of that technology. And so as soon as Midjourney came out, I was making NFTs with it, and I was, enjoying creation there. So then you have like the visual aspect, then you have the audio aspect. So when
Mhm.
you combine those things together, as well as the written aspect and the ability to speak back and forth with the LLMs, said,
Mhm.
okay, well, wait a minute, this is a recipe of character creation,
Right.
right? And being able to create a representation of a character. And so that's where the idea sparked for the creation of Ravyn Lyte, and with a photorealistic character as opposed to like a Mickey Mouse or you have the Disney princesses, right?
Right. Right.
So Raven has a backstory. She's from Spain. She lives in LA, and she really is a character that is an advocate for mental health and well-being. So it's
Mhm.
not just, oh, this is a cool AI project. It's a larger context for the project because when there's a such a crisis that's happening globally around mental health, what who are the advocates for that? What are the representative characters that can speak to these types of issues? And so that's the story of Ravyn Lyte. It's not just the music artist, it's also an advocate for mental health and well-being.
It's a beautiful backstory that you have and how you created and the backstory and how you have been leveraging it and using all this technology and a lot of these tools around. Amazing. I would like to go a bit of deep dive into this and understand a bit more about it. But let's take a quick break, come back and get into our the meat of the real conversation.
All right, sounds good.
All right, welcome back. I think that's an amazing start. I know I want to hear a bit more about your journey and how you're using all these different AI tools. But before getting there, maybe this is the big question, right? How do you see AI or AI changing the landscape of the music industry as a whole? And what are the opportunities and challenges out there? I know uh, you having this music background and also being a technologist and trying a lot of different things. Maybe a big picture overview about where all this is coming in from.
Sure. Because I've been in the music industry and recording music since I was 8 years old and started my first company when I was 12, right? A record label putting out music. It wasn't until later that I discovered that I was a futurist. And as a futurist and a creative and someone that likes to embrace technology, I don't run away from technology. I don't have fears around it. I don't buy into some of the narratives, the doom and gloom narratives, right? That have been, given to us by Hollywood, right? And have been perpetuated by, uh, media and so forth to gain our attention. Um, Now, I also recognize that there are challenges with AI.
Mhm.
But as a creative being and as a futurist, I know that the opportunity is greater than the catastrophe, right? That likely won't happen. And so, as it relates to the music industry, as soon as because I've been using AI tools for about 15 years now.
Mhm.
Uh, when the first mastering AI program came out 10 years ago, I was using that. Uh, when we went from being able to use tape to using the computer, right, to record music, I was ahead in that as well.
Mhm.
So over the years, I've seen the expansion of opportunity and the lowering of the barriers to entry for creatives, right? So as things have become more digitized and now with generative AI music,
Right.
the barrier has completely reduced down to all you need is a mobile device and a laptop, and you can be a music creator,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I sometimes get asked to come and speak and at conferences and give presentations. And some months back, I did a presentation at a conference in New York, and it was a small group of 270 people.
Mhm.
And I showed them how to create their first song using AI. So
Mhm.
within 20 minutes, 270 people, the majority of which had never done anything with music except for be a consumer of it,
Right.
became a creator of music. And I remember being pulled aside by a lady that was in one of the workshops that I did at that conference. And she was talking about how she kept having her content flagged by YouTube, right?
Mhm.
Because she had to use other people's music.
Right.
And that night of the workshop,
Mhm.
she used the tools that I showed them and created about 5 songs. And she was
Mhm.
so excited because now she had some songs that were her songs that she was able to generate and actually use that now with her YouTube content. And so this is a game changer in terms of the music industry because all of a sudden the opportunity for people's creative expression with music has opened up
Mhm.
in a way that, and I help train people in this. I've created a couple of courses to help support people in in this, like my Wealth and Impact program that helps people use AI to do things like this. But you can generate a song with AI and then monetize that by releasing it on Spotify and Apple Music and some of these other platforms, even if you are not, don't consider yourself to be a musician. That's the
Mhm.
first time that that's been possible, right? In the history of music, usually you will have to go to a recording studio and get a music producer like me, or songwriter like me, or a musician like me, or a recording engineer, and so forth, and go through a process, get it mastered. It will be, expensive to get a song done, or you can license a track online, and then you have to rent studio time or use some type of device, right? So it's
Mhm.
expensive in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of resources, and then you have to figure out how to get it up and so forth. But now nearly anyone can do it.
Mhm.
So how does that impact the music industry? I think that we're going to see in the music industry
Mhm.
not just an unprecedented number of songs and material being released, even more than exists now. But we're going to see the emergence of new genres. We're going to
Mhm.
see the collaboration of different genres and perspectives and self-expression. I think we're going to experience the best music that we've seen in the history of music.
Beautiful, beautiful. I echo with some of the thoughts that you have mentioned. I think the creativity aspect of humans would impact greatly by using many of these AI tools out there, and how you can make, like, you can create more music genres, and how you can expand further. Let's get into this avatar, or the AI music superstar that you have created,
Hmm.
the process of
Ravyn Lyte.
creating
Hmm.
Ravyn Lyte, and how AI played a role in bringing this virtual pop star to life. Can you tell a few the actual process behind how you've done this, and what is the impact do you believe this AI driven music and the virtual artists like Ravyn Light will have on the future of entertainment? Because I know you've explained like how it is coming in from, but could you briefly explain the process that you have created here, and then what do you think the impact will be on the future on these kind of avatars?
Sure. Yeah. So just with any business or any project or any movement, I believe the first thing that we start with, at least part of my process, is the why should this thing exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I put a lot of thought into, well, not just okay, we're gonna use some cool technology, I'm gonna bring together a team of people and so forth, but why is this important? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this needed? What's the bigger big of this? As my buddy Dan Burris likes, I get the bigger big concept. There's doing something big, and there's doing something even bigger, right? Um, and so starting with the context, starting with, okay, what does this character stand for,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like I mentioned before, what Raven Light stands for is uplifting humanity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uplifting consciousness. And technology enables that expression, right? The human expression,
Mm-hmm.
uh, using Raven Light as the vehicle for that expression. Just like an author uses fiction, right? To express some idea, whether it's you know, a message or an ideal, right, through fiction. The author has to start with, okay, well, what is the world around that? And it's a bit of the same process with Ravyn Lyte is, well, okay, well, what is the world of Ravyn Lyte?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So part of that world is that, as I mentioned before, she's from Spain, like her backstory. And because she's from Spain, her first single, 11111, just be the one, we have a Spanish version of it. So again, this speaks to the opportunity in the music industry. So because of the use of AI in this project, we're able to do different languages of the same song.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Spanish version of the single will get released and like that. But so starting with the bigger picture and then saying, okay, well, what are the tools needed
Right.
in order to accomplish this? Right? Uh, where is AI involved? Where is AI not involved?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where is a human needed and human ideas, and then where is the technology needed to actually execute that idea?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we've done a writer's camp for Ravyn Lyte with a bunch of humans,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a bunch of humans came together and we wrote songs for that project and decided what songs would be the ones to be released, which is the way we do with major recording artists in the music industry. We'll pull together teams of some of the best writers and producers and musicians and come up with what is going to be the product that's going to be released through this vehicle called a pop star. Right? And that resonates with the pop star and that the pop star can own and it's a part of their story and all of that. And those are the core essential foundational kind of steps in order to do that. And I know we're limited on time, so I won't get too into the weeds. We can get into the weeds, but I won't get too into the weeds. But these are some of the things that I support others in thinking through, not just in their creative projects, but also their businesses, because it's first principle thinking that applies across whatever you're creating, whether it's through the use of technology or just, human technology.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think this is where I like the way you have put together that when you create a music pop star, an AI music pop star, what is the backstory? Why is it created? And what is the ulterior outcome of this? And then kind of have the writers come in, do the process of writing songs or come up with some process of putting together the song so that this avatar can really you can merge it with this avatar. I think those are some great things. I know you've been as someone who's worked with major artists and brands. What unique business strategies do you think the entrepreneurs should adopt to make a meaningful impact in today's AI driven world? Because I know you, since you are at the intersection of these two, the technology as well as the music side of the thing.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, being an entrepreneur and technologist, when I put on that hat, I so there's Ravyn Lyte, which is like one of the musical expressions, right? But on the business side, I looked at what was possible in terms of business with my businesses. I have a couple of companies and I'm an investor. And so with my companies, I said, okay, how can AI be infused inside of the business? At first, it started with how can I disrupt my own business,
Sure.
right? So if the AI revolution is going to disrupt everything as we know it, let me be the one to disrupt it myself,
Mhm.
right? Let me be the cause in this matter, if you will, right? And so it started there. And so I looked at, okay, all the roles, the C-suite, the CMOs, the CFOs, the CIOs, right, all of these. And I said, okay, um, how can I impact that? Can I create some bots? Can I use my specialized knowledge in these different areas and finance and sales and marketing? Can I use my specialized knowledge and create some tools or find some tools that will, uh, you know, basically take out the need for this, employee, if you will. Okay,
Mhm.
that's where I started.
Mhm.
Where I ended up was, oh, this is not about taking away something. This is about enhancing the capabilities. This is about exponentially increasing the productivity of. And so I went, so my intention shifted actually
Mhm.
to, well, wait a minute, this actually is empowering. So I created a whole suite of tools
Mhm.
that that my team uses, right? And so I said, okay, well, if I'm looking at it from this standpoint, there must be other business owners as well. And so I started training other business owners to be able to do the same thing and enhance the productivity of their teams and so forth. And um, with everything from ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity and the ability to create bots and the ability to train models with our own data, and so I've taken all of my writings, the courses that I've led, and the interviews that I've done, the podcasts that I've done, and I've trained models on my thinking, on my worldview, on this is how I care about people because I'm a humanist actually. So as a humanist, I care deeply about humanity. I care deeply about compassion and empathy. And I care deeply about creatives and creative industries. So out of my exploration last year when I was eating, drinking, sleeping, breathing AI and actually creating things, I ended up creating over 100 books. I ended up generating thousands and thousands of images. I ended up creating hundreds of chat bots. I ended up creating all kinds of automations. I ended up helping others and hundreds of others be able to make the transition into this new paradigm um, for the use of technology inside of our endeavors.
Beautiful. So, with this amount of extensive experience, what is that advice you would give to the aspiring artists and producers on how they can navigate this evolving music industry, especially the music industry landscape, uh, when AI is becoming more prevalent? So, what is that piece of advice that you would give to any aspiring musician or artist in this field?
Yeah, I don't know if I have advice to give, maybe some recommendations,
Yeah, maybe. Yes, sure.
right?
I'll put it that way.
Because it's a ever evolving field, right?
Mhm.
And and so the first thing I would say is to play, to
Mhm.
play with it. It's like when I was first learning the blues scale, I had to play around to see, oh, what notes do I like, right? How do I want to use, uh, how do I want to use this structure in order to express from? And it's play.
Mhm.
So, and because it's ever evolving, and this is the worst that it'll be, right? Every week there's improvements in all of these different tools, and I'm fortunate in that uh, I'm in a place where I'm able to try out and play and really do all the labor uh, that others don't have to do that take my programs and so forth, right? So they get the cream of the crop, right? The best of the best. But for whether you're creative, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a technologist, it's all about just having curiosity. And inside of that curiosity, experimenting
Mhm.
and having an idea and say, okay, uh, can this idea be executed with the aid of some type of tool, whether it's an AI tool, whether it's some technologies that somebody created,
Mhm.
right? Is there a technology that can enhance this and have this happen more quickly? And so, like Ravyn Lyte, that particular project was something that I had planned on doing something like that
Mhm.
in 2035, because I planned my life out in 50-year increments. And
Right.
so I had the creation of these kinds of characters that would be new archetypes for people
Mhm.
to identify with, that would have meaning. I had that planned out for 2035, and then when I saw that the tools were available to actually create now,
Mhm.
I took that from 2035, the future, my future, and made my future now. And that's the possibility that I see for everyone, is to have their future be now and enhance and enable through the technology that we have at our disposal now.
Great, great. I think that's some great piece of advice and recommendation, I would say. And I know, like, as we've been talking about, AI is not only influencing music, but a lot of wide variety of other fields as well, and other creative industries as well. So so there is this inherent question, right? Can AI drive creativity, or does it pose a risk of making it more, or making art itself more mechanical? I know
Hmm.
this is a very deep question, but any thoughts that you could put there?
Sure. When Auto-Tune came out in the music industry, which is a program that's used inside of the music creation tools, digital audio workstations, you could put this plug-in on that would make the voice perfect,
Hmm.
right? Auto-Tune. And now Auto-Tune is so ubiquitous that you rarely hear a song on the radio or
Hmm.
a hit song that doesn't have it. So the imperfections of old recordings, like if you put on some vinyl, right, of some of the jazz recordings, or you listen to some songs from like the early 90s or the 80s, or whatever, you will hear some imperfections. But if you listen to pop songs now,
Hmm.
our ears have adjusted to those perfections,
Hmm.
right? Such that now some of the kids that are coming up, right, in developing their abilities with music are now, some that I've seen,
Hmm.
right, are singing better than the ones from before, because their ears have adjusted and tuned to like perfect kind of pitched type of songs, right? And
Hmm.
uh so what happens, I think, um, what's going to happen is there's going to be a both and world. There
Hmm.
isn't a uh, oh, it's going to be just this. I think it's a both and. There's the beautiful things happen in the imperfections, right? And even AI hallucinates, and
Hmm.
some of the most incredible creations that I've experienced in AI generative music have been the hallucinations, where it just went way off a script and hallucinated something that was, oh my gosh, I would have never done that. That's not what I had in mind, but that's brilliant. Right? And so, as it relates to where we are now, is that it requires a lot of human editing, whether you're writing books or you're writing copy and all of that. So our specialized knowledge actually is needed, whatever that field is that you are an expert in and you're using an AI tool, your specialized knowledge is needed to edit, to shape, to train, and so forth. And so it's really a collaborative process.
Mhm.
And what becomes mechanical, because even right now, someone could come in and I could start talking mechanical like this, as a
Mhm.
I could speak like this, or I could speak the way I speak, right?
Mhm.
And so we can imitate mechanical, and mechanical can imitate authentic.
Yeah, I think you you got a you made a very nice point out there, which keeps me thinking, right? Like it's that with these technological advancements, we are now more tuned for perfections with the technology, and this is where I think you're also tuned to get or the outcomes are better, or the process that we go through and how do we deliver things better, and which is where obviously you're adding more technological innovations in whatever you're doing. I think it's a great way, I think, how you put it. I would now come into this interesting question, right? I think as always, we keep talking about ethical considerations of AI in creative industries, particularly when it comes to the AI generated art or any of these art forms. You know, with what is currently happening is that you beautifully mentioned that even a person with no background in some of these fields or some of these things can definitely pick up and do a lot more things. Like, but what do you, what are your thoughts when we talk about ethical considerations of AI in these kind of creative industries?
Yeah, I think a lot about that actually. Um, First, it started with me training models on myself, and
Mhm.
I typed Marcus Bellringer into ChatGPT, and and it knew me. So okay, how could ChatGPT know me except for that it scanned the internet, right? And whether it went to my Wikipedia or like whether articles, like I'm in there,
Mhm.
right? And so when I'm looking at training models, whether it's for me or whether it's for a client for my timeless legacies, right? Because I ended up creating a company to help people become immortal,
Mhm.
basically, right? Because if you can, train your voice, which we can, if you can train the video representation, which we can, if you can train, a written representation of, which we can, and you can put all those things together, then can't some of my essence live forever?
Right, right. Yeah.
Right? So
Mhm.
the way people traditionally have immortality nowadays is through the written word, right? Through books,
Mhm.
through recordings, right? Songs, and through art, right? Some visual representation of something, right? And stories being passed down, right? Passed along through some vehicle, whether that's a human vehicle or whether that's through video or something like that, right? We can go back and we can watch, we can see, we can experience. And um, so what does my avatar do when people interact with it,
Mhm.
right? How can it be representative of the things I care about and not say things that I wouldn't say,
True,
right?
true. Very
Or
important.
or give advice or recommendations or ideas that are not from me or from my essence or someone using my uh AI creations for something that's not good for humanity when
Mhm.
I stand for humanity,
Mhm.
right? So I think about this. I'm with more questions than answers, because I believe that the questions will free you and the answers will constrain you. So when I had that question, I had to create some constraints with the things that I created. Okay. It does not curse, right? It does not give, right? It doesn't, I started to create the guardrails, right? The ethical guardrails for the creations. And I support others in doing the same thing, right? So here's how you create the guardrails. Here's how you protect your legacy. Here's how you protect your ideas and ideals from an ethical standpoint. And so, yeah, and the way I kind of see ethics in general is ethics for me is different than ethics would be maybe for you. Uh, you know, ethics are generated from either cultural norms or people's worldview or frame of reference, right? So as I've done some study on that, like what are the contexts that we as humans interact with the world, right? Um, what is ethical for one person may be different. So it's really a question that I pose for participants in my program. Well, what is ethics for you? What are your ethics? What are your values? And how does that get translated inside of your offers, your businesses, your messaging, your movements, the way that you impact and help people? And so like that.
Mhm. I completely echo with your thoughts here. I think, and of course, that is where the discussion about the bigger need about the guardrails or other things that are needed for proper handling of these tools or proper handling of how do we produce the outcomes or creations out of these tools.
Mm.
This takes me to the interesting question, or I would term this as the extra AI $1 million or the $1 billion question. So, how do you balance the human touch with AI in your work, ensuring that music remains authentic and emotionally engaging? You did talk about also ethics here and other things. So, the same way with a lot of technology into what we are doing, but at the same way, AI music is a an artistic field. How do you still make sure that there is some balance uh, mm, between the human touch with AI and creativity that you're using, and so that you can still keep it emotionally engaging?
Yeah, I think that it's um it's something that we as, creators, as influencers, I would like to call, we all can be impactors,
Hmm.
right? As we interact with audiences,
Hmm.
you with this podcast and what you're doing, you're having some influence and you see, okay, this works, this doesn't work, right? This performs better than another, right? You're measuring it, you're tweaking it, you're tuning it. And I think it's the same thing here with technology, right? You see, because it's not $1 million or $1 billion or $1 trillion anything until it reaches an audience and is monetized, right? And so once you put the lens of, well, how do I monetize my creations? How do I uh engage real people, because bots don't have credit cards, right? As a friend of mine likes to say, right? As you engage real people, that um, then there is the honing and tuning of messaging and messages and creations that resonate, right? And so again, it's back to that curiosity and play, right? So how can I create something of value? Because really is about the creation of value. And if something is created that's not valuable, then it's likely not going to get attention and you won't be able to monetize it, right? And so part of the process is communicating that value and having a resonance with an audience, a target audience, maybe not all audiences, right? Because if you're trying to reach everybody, you're going to reach nobody, but having a target audience that you're aiming to reach. And these are things that I talk about in Wealth and Impact Bootcamp, right? Being very clear. And you actually may repel an audience that you don't want. But you may engage and activate the audience that you do want, and that could lead to reach and impact and building of monetization. So I look at it from that lens.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think great talking with you. I know time flies by so fast. We're almost getting close to our conversation. Any key takeaways or highlights that you would like to provide with our audience from your journey with AI and music, and maybe share your vision of what the future holds for this AI-driven creativity? Maybe any other, anything.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm an evangelist of the use of technology to enhance our human creativity,
Hmm.
right? I'm an evangelist of using these tools to uplift humanity and raise consciousness. I'm an evangelist of that. Um, and so as someone that really cares and wants to empower others with it, I've created some ways to help people with that. So if someone is interested that's listening in creating music with AI, right? I created a program that shows whether you're a beginner or novice or a professional that has had hits, you know, ways to be able to use AI tools. And so someone that's interested in that, they can go to iwanttomakemusic.com. Simple. If you want to make music, go to iwanttomakemusic.com, right? And you can access that program. If you're a business owner or an entrepreneur or speaker or author or coach or consultant, right? I've created a suite of trainings and tools and so forth. And if you want to make an impact and have wealth, you would just go to iwantwealthandimpact.com. Right? If you want that, I want wealthandimpact.com, and then they can access a training that will help them with that. And then I would say that whether you're doing my programs or you do other kinds of things like using YouTube University,
Right.
right? Just like by listening to things like your podcast here, right? Continue to build and expand your knowledge, right? This is the most important thing, because if you don't use it, from what I've understand with neuroscience and how the brain works, and I've been working with a bunch of neuroscientists on the Ravyn Lyte project, right? We didn't talk about that here, but from what I've learned from some neuroscientists is it really is true what they say. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so I want to encourage everyone to read. I want to encourage everyone to think critically about what it is that you're doing in your life, and design a life of meaning and purpose. And that's I think, at least from what I can tell right now, is the pathway to self-actualization and helping others.
Beautiful, beautiful. Amazing piece of advice and insights from you. Uh, we'll definitely stay in touch, and then I would like to maybe get you again back and talk a bit more about Ravyn Lyte. It's very inspiring, the work that you have put across. Thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed the conversation.
So, what an incredible conversation we have had today with Marcus. A huge thank you to Marcus Bell for sharing his time, insights, and visionary ideas with us. From pioneering AI in the music industry to creating new pathways for creativity and impact, Marcus truly embodies what it means to innovate and inspire. And of course, a big thank you to you all, amazing audience, for staying with us throughout this episode. As always, I'll be tagging Mr. Marcus on the LinkedIn post. If you have any further questions, you can directly reach out to Marcus and engage with him for further conversations. Alternatively, you can reach out to me, Raghu Banda, and I can put you in touch with him. As always, you can also reach out to me on my other social media channels like RK Banda on Twitter, X, or Threads. And of course, you can also go into our website, XTrawAI.com, XTrawAI.com, and find humongous amount of other interesting conversations in the realm of AI. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to subscribe to XTraw AI on your favorite podcasting platform and stay connected with us on YouTube or any podcasting platform like Spotify, etc. There's so much more to come, so keep tuning in for more fascinating episodes that dive deep into the ever-evolving world of AI. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the future with us. Have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Happy predicting the future with AI technologies. This is your host, Raghu Banda, signing off. Thank you and bye-bye.